Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this live or this replay finds you well and in excellent spirits. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So, this is the weekly astro forecast for the week of March 3rd through March 9th, 2025. All right. So, how are we feeling this evening? And I ask this very intentionally because we are in some pretty volatile energy right now. So, things may feel, I'm not even going to say weird. I will say that things may feel slightly intensified. The current astrology is a bit much right now. And so this is kind of one of those weeks where things could pop off, things could end suddenly. I'm not even going to say it's a mixed bag. I think that this is just the energy this week is a little volatile. So we've got some rough spots to get through, but get through it we shall. All right. But before we get into the details of the week, of course, housekeeping and announcements. So the first announcement that I want to make, and I just realized this today. Today marks the Astro Room's third birthday. I literally started doing live astro forecasts 3 years ago today. And I'm like, it blows my mind because number one, 3 years sounds like such a long time, but it literally feels like that. And number two, I can't believe that I've been doing it for this long. I remember when I first got the idea to do these forecasts live and how it was such a big step for me, not only in like my business, but in my personal development as well. And now for it to be such a regular part of my life, it blows my mind in the best way possible. So first and foremost, I just want to thank you all who have been rocking with me since day one. Even if you haven't been rocking with me since day one, if you're here now, that is all that matters. I sincerely appreciate you. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your presence. And there's so much more to come in the future. And I'm excited for what is to come in the future. So cheers to many more years or many more lives, I should say. I'm really happy to be doing something that I love that I think is useful. So thank you. That's all I want to say at the outset. All right. Number two, let's see, what else do we have this week? Thank you, Monarca. I appreciate that. Okay. So, next, if you are someone who is not that familiar with astrology, you are someone who's beginning, or if you're someone who's looking for a little more, then you are definitely going to want to sign up for my free private online community, Cosmic Collective. Not only can you commune with other astrology enthusiasts, but you can learn astrology as well. We have discussions, there's resources, there's even meetups. Like it's a full-fledged community that I think that you would definitely benefit from. So if you are interested, the link is in the description box below. Come check it out. Everyone is welcome. It's dope. And I'm not just saying that because I created it and I facilitate it. I think it's a great place. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in there. All right. And as always, if you are someone who really wants to get the fundamentals of astrology down, namely as it pertains to your natal chart, then you will definitely want to schedule my signature service called the Blueprint. All right. It is the quintessential natal chart reading. I read your chart from soup to nuts. We go into numerology. We go into all of these things. It's a very comprehensive reading. So if you're looking for a place to start, there's a lot of information. You really want to know your natal chart, schedule a reading. I promise you won't be disappointed. All right. So that's pretty much it for the announcements and the details this week. Okay. Monarca says, feeling up in the air one day to the next. Yeah, this energy is kind of volatile. It's kind of all over the place. This week in particular. So to sort of summarize the astrology that's going on right now. So, Venus just went retrograde on Saturday, on the 1st of March, in the sign of Aries. Mercury has now entered Aries, and we are entering into eclipse season with the first eclipse of the month happening next week. And so all of this means a lot of fiery energy, things suddenly happening, sudden shifts, anger, frustration, rage, even a lot of confrontation, maybe competition, whole bunch of very Mars like energy this week. Okay. So it's really important that you not only understand the astrology, but you understand how it's sort of affecting all of us, right? Because Venus retrograde, and I'll get into this when I get into the specifics more, but Venus retrograde is bringing up things from the past, particularly Venusian things, right? Namely, like love and money, okay? And so while this could mean that certain people are coming back around, right? I would say the majority of us will experience this as issues or patterns, right? Karmic cycles sort of coming back around and flying in our faces, right? And those things can be triggering. And when we've got this plethora of Aries energy, right, with Mars now being direct after having been retrograde for a while, that fire, that the impulse to fly off the handle is very potent right now. It's more than likely that a lot of people will, right? Because if you're triggered, you're angry, perhaps you're feeling defeated, right? With Aries being ruled by Mars. Mars is the warrior. When a warrior is wounded, when a warrior is defeated, a lot of times they will lash out, they will sulk, they will project their anger onto others, right? So a lot of that can happen this week. It's not to say that this week is going to go to shit and things are going to go wrong. It's just that everyone's sort of in this melting pot of energy, this melting pot of things coming up from the past and issues or situations that are requiring you to be courageous, that are requiring you to be brave, perhaps situations where you need to stand up for yourself. Perhaps situations where you need to say it with your chest and you need to defend whatever you believe or whatever you're trying to do, where you need to stay 10 toes down on something that you want or something that you need, right? And maybe those needs are not necessarily being received well by other people. Okay. So everyone's feeling kind of aggy. Everyone's like, it's one of those weeks where you may have to tread lightly. Okay. Let's just put it like that. Right. So be mindful of conflicts. If you can avoid them, try to. Right. And also give yourself and others grace. We're all navigating these murky waters right now, these waters that may not feel so comfortable. Because keep in mind, with Venus retrograde, right, love and money are two of the areas of life that, people focus on the most, but where a lot of people hold a lot of things like anger, rage, insecurity. Like a lot of our emotional baggage stems from these two areas of life. And with a lot of this stuff coming back up, and with the uncertainty that we're starting to feel with these eclipses creeping up on us, it's a lot. It is a lot. All right. And so try your best to roll with the punches. Try not to punch anybody. Right. And again, if you can avoid conflict, do so. Okay, that Mars is no longer sleeping because Mars is no longer retrograde, but Mars is in Cancer. Okay, this is important because Cancer is a water sign. It's all about our emotions. So a lot of us are in touch with our emotions, particularly emotions like anger, rage, and frustration, maybe even disappointment, right? So it's one of those weeks where, like, chill out, drink your water, mind your business, focus on you, stay in your lane, try your best to process whatever comes up. And this too shall pass. That's all I can really say about that. All right. So now let's get into the specifics of what this week has in store for us. And of course, we start with the theme. Say it with your chest. Okay. This is important because Mercury has just entered Aries today. And Mercury in Aries, Mercury being the planet of ideas and communication, right? It's about exercising your throat chakra and really speaking up. A lot of the energy of Mercury in Aries is about speaking up for yourself. advocating for yourself, right? Standing up for yourself. Apart from that, there's a lot of energy with Mercury and Aries of saying what you want, right? Saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and saying what you want, like, and not sugarcoating it. Aries is blunt. Aries is not going to beat around the bush. Aries is not necessarily diplomatic like its sister sign Libra. Libra will want you to say things or want to say things in a way that's palatable or that's pleasing, right? As to avoid confrontation. Aries gives no fucks. Aries is like, this is what I want. This is what I'm doing. You're either on board or not. And not only that, what I want, what I'm doing, like I'm willing to defend that shit. Right. So we've got this forcefulness in our communication. We have this forcefulness even in our thoughts. Right. The one thing I love about Aries energy is that it's laser like focused. So whereas we can have multiple desires, multiple things we want to manifest, Aries almost fixates on one or maybe just a few things. And it's got tunnel vision. That's all that it sees. Right. And this speaks very much to how, like, Mars, the ruler of Aries, is expressed in a sign like Scorpio. Scorpio gets the reputation for being obsessive, right? That obsessive impulsivity, even, is very much part of the Mars energy signature. Okay. So when we have a planet like Mercury in the sign of Aries, it's like you can laser like focus on what you want. And the way that Mercury handles that is like, okay, that's all you're talking about. That's all you're thinking about. That's all you're focused on. You're directing your mental efforts towards one or maybe even just a few things in almost an obsessive manner. Okay. So a lot can be accomplished with Mercury and Aries. But I also want you to understand the climate that we're in right now. Remember, all of these transits that I mention every week, it's not like these things are in a vacuum. Energy is fluid. And right now we're at the beginning of eclipse season. Venus is retrograde. Mercury is about to go retrograde. It's this very stop and go forward, move back. Plus, there are surprises coming. So it can feel unstable. But one thing is for certain, if there is a particular goal that you have, if there's something that you're fixated on, Mercury will attune your mind to whatever that is. And if you're vocal enough about it, you can bring it about that way, right? If we're talking about like manifesting, like affirmations, scripting, even candle magic at this point with Mercury and Aries would be really good for those kind of things. All right. So with Mercury and Aries, say it with your chest, right? Again, Mars is the warrior and Mars is the ruler of Aries. So be defensive, not to the point where you are reckless or harmful to anyone else, right? But be confident in what you want. Be confident in how you speak. Okay. Mercury and Aries is definitely going to help you out with that. So that's just one of the themes for the week, but that's the one that I wanted to highlight the most since Mercury just moved into Aries today. All right. So now let's get into the week and see exactly what it's looking like. All right. So this is the week of March 3rd. Not too many transits. All right. Which is good because, again, with this wonky kind of energy, if we had more planets, more transits, more planetary aspects this week, it might feel even more overwhelming than it may already feel presently. All right. But here's what we've got going on for the week. So Mercury enters Aries today, like I mentioned. Then Mercury will sextile Pluto, and then the sun will trine Mars. Okay. So let's see what the moon is doing this week. So we begin with the waxing crescent moon in Taurus and Gemini. Then we move into the first quarter moon in the sign of Gemini. And then we close out the week with the waxing gibbous moon in Cancer and Leo. All right. And so we're making our way till that full moon lunar eclipse, which is happening in Virgo on March 14th. Right. So we're in the waxing phase. So right now it's about building momentum. It's about taking action steps. It's about moving forward. Okay. And as The phrase I'm hearing right now is it's a delicate dance, okay? Because again, we've got this retrograde energy and also the start of eclipse season. So it may not be a straight shot between where you are and where you're trying to go, right? You may have to take 2 steps forward to take 2 steps back, take a detour. Spirit has you going someplace else. Like it can be a lot. So be patient with yourself and with others. All right. So let's begin with the week. And of course, we start with today, Monday. And so today we've got Mercury entering Aries and we've got the waxing crescent moon in Taurus. All right. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. So at the top of the chart, you will see Mercury at 0 degrees of Aries. And then you'll also see the moon, which is in the sign of Taurus. All right. So let's talk about Mercury in Aries a little more, even though I kind of mentioned this already. But Mercury in Aries it could give you clarity of thought. Okay. It could get you laser like focused, like I said before, on something in particular, a particular goal of a manifestation or an intention, whatever it is. But again, it's going to have that laser like focus, that tunnel vision. This also gives you the oomph to stand up for yourself, advocate for yourself, what you need, advocate for yourself, and literally say what you want. You know, that sounds super simplistic, but a lot of times being blunt or even just being real about what we want, it's almost like a twofold endeavor sometimes. And this is something that I'm actually discussing with my ladies in the pleasure and prosperity activation that starts this week, right? Talking about, and if you're interested, the link will be in the description box below so you could check it out. It's for ladies only, right? We are spending all of Venus retrograde meeting together and transforming our lives, point blank, period. If you want to know more, again, link is in the description box below. But in any event, saying what you want, like I said before, is sort of a twofold endeavor. Number one, you kind of have to get real with what you want within yourself first. And this can be challenging because a lot of times we psych ourselves out from what we want. Our insecurities get the best of us. We listen to the opinions of other people, which sort of dilutes or sort of drowns out our own desires, right? So it's like you have to have the courage within yourself to actually want what you want. And then to verbalize that is the second part of that equation. To actually say what you need. Because sometimes it's not just, okay, this is what I want, I'm just announcing it to the world. Oftentimes we need things from other people. Whether it's finances, whether it's emotional support, whether you need them to get the fuck out of the way, right? Sometimes we have to verbalize what it is that we need. And that can take courage, right? And the beauty of Mercury in Aries is that it can give you that courage if you're willing to tap into it. So you'll want to look at where Aries is in your chart, okay? Your natal chart. This is important, not just for now, but for 2025. There's so much Aries energy this year. So wherever Aries is in your natal chart, this is the area of life that's going to be lit this year. And specifically this week, with Venus retrograde in Aries and Mercury having just gone into Aries, Aries is on fire. Okay. So depending on where Aries is in your chart, perhaps this is what you need to speak up about, what you need to be vocal about, what you need to advocate for yourself about. All right. So examining that will definitely be of use to you. Okay. And then we have the waxing crescent moon in Taurus. Now, the moon is exalted in Taurus, and I love when the moon is in Taurus because it gets you to relax. Taurus just wants to. Have you ever seen cows like in the field, like in the middle of the day, especially if it's like sunny and they're kind of like sunbathing, they're just lying there? Taurus loves that. Taurus loves to luxuriate, right? And when the moon is in Taurus, luxuriating is a thing. But most importantly, when the moon is in Taurus, particularly when it's waxing, it reminds us two things. Number one, Taurus is a feminine sign, and feminine energy is not about doing, but about being. And so even when it comes to taking action toward our goals, it's not always doing, hustling, grinding. It's more so about being. And not just being receptive to receiving as well, because Taurus loves to receive. Taurus is ruled by Venus. And so Taurus loves to get things. Okay. And not just that, rest and relaxation are a part of the process, they're vital to the process. If you are constantly on the go, you're likely running on fumes. Taurus doesn't operate like that. Taurus wants to be well rested, well fed, right? Looking good. Rest, relaxation, and luxuriating are part of the process. And today's Monday. Monday is ruled by the moon. The moon is kind of when you take it easy. And to be honest, I typically like to try to take it kind of easy on Mondays. I still do work, but I do mostly like light administrative stuff, but I don't see clients on Mondays. I don't, do the most. Mondays are meant for relaxing, okay? As weird as that sounds. And with the moon waxing in Taurus tonight, relax. Put on your favorite sweats. Put on a good movie, get a snack, a good drink, and just chill out. Because understand that's part of the process. All right. So that's Monday. Let's move on. And the next day we have is Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we've got Mercury sextile Pluto. And we've got the waxing crescent moon in Gemini. All right. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. So you will see at the very top of the chart, Mercury is at 3 degrees of Aries. On the right side of the chart, you'll see that Pluto is at 3 degrees of Aquarius. And then on the left side of the chart, you will see that the moon is at 3 degrees of Gemini. All right. So Mercury sextile Pluto is powerful. Now, I just talked almost ad nauseum about Mercury and Aries and how it gets you to advocate for yourself, stand up for yourself, voice your needs, your opinions, even all that good stuff, right? When you add a sextile to Pluto, like this could be extremely powerful. So number one, this particular transit fosters persuasion. Okay. Anytime you have Pluto, you've got influence. And when Pluto meets up with Mercury, it's like verbal influence. Okay. So you could really influence people on depending on what you're saying. Right. I believe the quote is like the tongue is a mighty sword or something like that, or there's power in the tongue. You know what I'm trying to say, right? Sorry, I'm in my moon day kind of energy. Okay, so I'm a little mellow today. But yeah, there's influence, there's persuasion with this particular transit. So use it wisely. And then when you add an emotion like anger, or even you add an emotion like passion, it just exacerbates that. It's like adding gasoline to an already lit flame, or fire, I should say. So words carry a lot of weight this week, particularly midweek with this particular transit. But I think what I like about it the most is that it effects change, and change of a very permanent nature. So there is indeed power in your speech this week. There's also immense power in your thoughts. So despite the fact that we've got Venus retrograde, and Mercury is going to be going retrograde next week. So Mercury is not necessarily just full steam ahead right now. It's getting ready to slow down and turn around, right? Essentially. But Mercury in Aries is about starting something new. So while, the old adage is that when, Mercury's retrograde, you don't start anything new, this may be the time where you may want to. Only because starting something new right now, you'll immediately have the ability to course correct it once Mercury goes retrograde next week. So I wouldn't be afraid to start anything new. Just, be very careful, triple check everything, right? But take a risk, be a little bold. That's just exactly how Aries likes it. Okay. So that's definitely something to think about. But with Pluto in Aquarius, and Aquarius being a sign of the future and of improvement and innovation, your thoughts, your communication can really change things for you going forward, going into the future. So opportunities on a massive scale really can present themselves under the energy of this transit. Now, the way that these opportunities may present themselves may be a little harsh, It may be by way of an ending of some sort, because remember, Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. So this could be something ending, but then it leaves a void where you can experience profound change with something new that's even better. Okay. So be mindful of your thoughts this week as well. Mercury, again, is the planet of ideas and communication. So if you are thinking a lot of negativity, if you are really maybe, depending on what Venus retrograde is bringing up for you at this time, if you are like bitter, if you are feeling any of those emotions, it's not to say not to feel them, right? But don't stew in them, because with everything that I'm talking about right now, I want you to understand the sun is still in Pisces, and the sun in Pisces is activating our emotions. So anything that you're putting emotions into or behind is really going to exacerbate. This is important, because if you're not trying to exacerbate something negative, try not to put too much anger, too much resentment, too much vitriol even into it, right? Because it's only going to blow up. And with all this Aries energy, that blow up could be quite explosive. All right. So keep that in mind. But otherwise, if you're looking for a new mindset, if you are finally ready to let people know, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I need, it could literally change the trajectory of your future, right? People may be a little more receptive to it only because it's a little more serious. It's more blunt, AKA Aries. And with Pluto, it can be quite influential. It could hold a lot of weight. So be vocal, exercise that throat chakra this week, but just in constructive ways. Constructive. Okay. Then that same day, we have the waxing crescent moon in Gemini. All right. And so when the moon is in Gemini, it's actually going to conjunct Jupiter. Okay. So this is lots of ideas, lots of communication. Whereas Taurus wants to luxuriate, wants to be comfortable, Gemini is all about busybody energy. So it's all about doing a lot, communicating a lot, being like a busy bee. Okay. And so midweek, things may ramp up, whether it's internally by way of having a lot of ideas, or whether it's, social and communicating with people. Things are going to heat up and get busy midweek with not only Mercury sextile Pluto, but the waxing crescent moon in Gemini. All right. So that's Wednesday. Now let's move on to Thursday. All right. So on Thursday, same thing. The moon is still in Gemini, but it's first quarter phase. All right. So let's see what this looks like on the charts. All right. So you will see, excuse me, the moon there at 17 degrees of Gemini. All right. And so same thing, same sort of energy. It's just that when the moon reaches the first quarter phase, it's halfway in between the new moon and the full moon. And so this is when, think about when you're running a race and you're halfway through. It's like, all right, you're not focused on what's behind you. You're still focused on what's in front of you. And this may require you to push through a little more. And with the first quarter phase in Gemini, this could be everything. This got everything to do with your mindset, how you communicate with people, exercising your throat chakra, etc. All right. So it's like, keep your eyes on the prize, keep running, and keep the same pace or keep the same momentum. All right. That's definitely the essence of the first quarter moon. Okay. Thereafter, we move on to Friday. Now, Friday, the moon moves into Cancer, into the waxing gibbous phase. All right. And so let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right. So you'll see the moon there on the left-hand side of the chart at 0 degrees of Cancer. All right, so the moon is at home in Cancer. So it's not too much unlike moon in Taurus, but moon in Cancer, it's very homey. It has more of an emotional flavor to it than the moon in Taurus does. So it does feel like hunkering down at home, spending time with family. It has a very nurturing kind of energy to it. And so when the moon is waxing in Cancer, we nurture whatever it is that we're working toward. We water it, okay? We give it life. We feed it with good emotions. We feed it with sunlight, right? We also focus on home and family. Home and family are our roots, our headquarters, our home base. our attention is really focused on those things when the moon is in Cancer in one way or another. But either way, it's great for nurturing whatever you're trying to manifest. All right. So that's Friday. And then we move on to Saturday. All right. And on Saturday, we've got Sun trine Mars. Okay. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right. So at the top of the chart, you will see Mars, the little red guy, at 18 degrees of Cancer. Then on the right-hand side of the chart, you will see the Sun at 18 degrees of Pisces. All right, so Sun trine Mars, it can give you this real big boost, this real push, this real drive and motivation, okay? Now, what's important to understand, number one, is that both the Sun and Mars are in water signs. So this has everything to do with not only your subconscious, but with your emotions. And so this may have you feeling very motivated, feeling driven. Okay. It's this energy of igniting, being on fire for something. Okay. This is great because this can contribute to that profound change I was talking about when we have Mercury sextile Pluto, which happens on Wednesday. So, the one thing I want you to notice about this week is that there is a lot of dynamic, motivational kind of energy because of the plethora of Aries energy, number one, and now with the presence of the Sun and Mars. So, when it comes to that drive and that desire for something, you may feel that very strongly this week to the point of not even just obsession, but also to the point of you know how have you ever wanted something so badly you're almost like angry about it? It could be described as extremely passionate or fired up, but it could also feel like this anger, like I have to have this thing. I can really see that happening with Sun trine Mars. Like it could be very, I have to have this thing, very driven, very motivated, right? It could also be quite it could also be quite eye-opening. Anytime we talk about the sun, we're talking about this realization, right? This emergence of truth even because anything under the sun is lit up. It's like you see something in its truth, right? So when it comes to the sun being in the sign of Pisces right now, this could be the truth of your beliefs, the truth of your emotions that's really coming to the surface. It's like, how do you really feel about this thing? And I feel like with it trine to Mars, you could either be feeling really fired up about it or really angry and angry in a sense that, excuse me, you want to make changes to it. You want to alter it. You want to start something new. You want to trash this thing and then start something brand spanking new. All right. So this particular transit can foster change, realization, motivation, and drive. So use it for that. Now, here's the thing that I like about everything that I'm saying. Within the backdrop of all of this is it's like the lunar eclipse is waiting in the wings. And at the moment, the lunar eclipse is emitting energy. And it's just like, yeah, we're getting ready for this, right? And understand this with this eclipse, this first eclipse, things may be eclipsed out of your life, which could spark a lot of this Mars like energy, right? This anger, frustration, rage, even. But understand this, it's leaving room for new things, things that you're actually fired up about, things that you actually want. Remember, I said before with Mercury and Aries, you're talking about what you really want. Maybe you're almost forced to do that this week because something you've relied on a regular basis, because that's the energy of this upcoming eclipse. This upcoming eclipse is happening in Virgo. And Virgo can represent our daily routine, things that we do on a daily basis. And if the universe is eclipsing that out, it's like you have this void in your everyday life, right? That could spark anger. It could spark fear. It could spark a lot of things. But perhaps what's leaving, I'm not even going to say perhaps. I will say because the universe makes no mistakes. And when we lose something, when something ends, it's likely we're not a vibrational match for it. It's not of our highest good, or the universe is protecting us from something that we can't yet see. So even though we're angry and we're like, what the fuck? I had this, I was doing this, I don't have it anymore. Spirit's like, all right, so now I took that away. What do you really want? That's Mercury and Aries. What do you really want? Now you have the opportunity to perhaps have it. So be vocal about it. First with yourself and then with the world, right? Words of the wise. And then, so that's Saturday. And then finally, we move on to Sunday. And on Sunday, we have the waxing gibbous moon in Leo. All right, so let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right, at the top of the chart, you will see the moon at 1 degree of Leo. All right, so moon in Leo, it's fun. It's fellow fire sign, right? So it's passionate, it's driven, it's courageous, but it's also fun, lighthearted, and heart-centered energy. And I love how we're ending the week like this, because this moon is sort of reminding you of what you're truly passionate about, what's really in your heart, what your inner child may be yearning for, or what your inner child has been telling you they've wanted this entire time, but you've ignored, right? It's about getting true to yourself. And again, what you actually want. That's really the theme of this week. What is it that you really want? That's what the universe is asking you right now. So answer truthfully, honestly, say it with your chest. Be honest with yourself. Sometimes, like I said before, we want something, but we deny it to ourselves. We psych ourselves out. We think, oh, that can't possibly happen, or it's too late, or I don't have this, or I'm not that. Aries gives no fucks. I want you to remember that. Aries is like, I don't care. I don't care what anyone else has to say, what anyone else has to think. This is my desire, and this is what I'm doing, and I'm standing on business with this. Much can be accomplished with this energy, but you're gonna have to be a little risky, and you're gonna have to be fearless. Aries is no. I'm trying to not curse too much. Aries is not a pushover. I wanted to say another P word, but I'm not going to say it. Aries is not a pushover. Aries is the warrior, right? This isn't being lukewarm about something, and the minute that someone contests whatever it is that you're saying or whatever it is that you want, you fold. Nah, this is you standing tall. This is you saying, yeah, I don't care what you say. And advocating for yourself, understanding the value of your desires. And again, this week we're talking all about that in pleasure and prosperity. It's almost like you have to have the courage and the fearlessness to own your desires. Venus retrograde in Aries is going to remind you of that repeatedly for the next couple of weeks. You got to own what it is that you want. And this is definitely the week where that happens. Okay. And so, my loves, that is the weekly astro forecast in a nutshell. All right. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this week and beyond. All right. For information on everything I talked about, plus all of my products, services, all that good stuff, you will find it in the description box below. All right, my loves, thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you same place, same time next week. All right, loves, take care.